So you said in one of your last videos that you didn't want to make like the Q&A videos in parts just because you don't want to spam anyone's channel feeds. You don't want, but as I see it, like it's not a big deal if you spam a channel feed. I believe that a bigger deal would be to like loyal fans such as myself I mean, not to me, it's like not such big of a deal, but to somebody it might be, to follow two different channels because don't get me wrong, it might get to the point where your first channel gets taken down, like the one you're doing now.
Right.
I believe if you get three strikes, that's it. You,
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
that's it. And what are the plans from then on? You're maybe going to move to that channel if the first channel gets terminated.
Yeah, well, that's well. Thank you for asking because I got a chance to just quickly address it. Yeah, that's what's definitely going to happen. I'm currently I figured out the name. I'm not going to unveil the name right now. I'll keep everyone waiting along. I'm going to the new channel name or the backup channel name. I shouldn't say the name in 113 review of Arc 5. But yeah, it's going to be a new channel. It will get all the Q. If I could do a podcast or maybe I know I'm actually doing the guy my first collab on. I'm doing one with him, I think, later this weekend, and that'll be on my channel. Maybe we'll do one in the future. I'd definitely be down for a few more of these. And so if I lead that, that's where, because podcasts, I mean, they're usually over 15 minutes, so those won't be on Clueless Gamer. So you'll have the Q&As every 2 weeks. You'll have these kind of podcasts, ones that I lead at least, will be on backup channel in case there are two strikes or we get three strikes, because that is a partner channel, Clueless Gamers. I'm sure. I think partner because he's getting kind of fed up with everything issues on his own, not even from YouTube, but from like Comcast and Verizon for downloading episodes of like Agents of Shield and Arrow and from just their sites. Like he's really on edge and he doesn't, he's getting sick of YouTube. So I think in that case, and everything chat for the channel that I will be doing with the backup channel in case we do get three strikes will be the main channel that I do. And if it comes to that where we do get three strikes, I'm going to stop using clips. I'm only going to use pictures. I enjoy clips. I think it adds to the dimension. It's not just me rambling. But if it comes to it, I'll just stop using, I don't want to, that's the thing. Three strikes, it sucks. But I think it's good to have a backup channel like this. So I'll stop using video, taking pictures up, which would honestly be absurd if that's the case, but I guess technically they could put a claim in on pictures. A bunch of people have written to me about maybe doing fan art, which I'm grateful for that people reached out to me and suggested that. So even if it comes to it, I'll be using free and custom fan art for the video. I say while I discuss what I want to discuss about Yu-Gi-Oh, whether it be episodes or breaking news. So no matter what, I'm still very determined that I can reach some sort of understanding, I guess, with Nihon and TV Tokyo, because again, I'm promoting the show in a positive way. I don't think I'm causing harm. That channel will be coming up on that channel. I'm going to re-upload the Kaiba Theory video just for people that maybe want to watch it. I'm going to take out all the clips. I'm going to take out all the pictures. Doing fan art for it. So literally there will be nothing in that video that they can claim because it's going to be fan art and it's going to be me talking and that's it. They can't fan art even though it's based there. So that will be a video that will be coming. I'm going to just wrap up the video clips. So yeah,
Well,
thanks for asking, and I'm
yeah.
looking forward
What
to
I
work by
noticed.
myself, and yes, that's you're good. Sorry, I didn't mean
Oh,
to cut you off.
yeah. Well, what I noticed, like from this whole fiasco, is like they, if you've been following, I'm not sure if you're into the whole official Yu-Gi-Oh world and not just the anime spectrum of
Yes,
it.
with the Yu-Gi-Oh network. Is that what you're going to say? The Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah,
network,
the
Death
Dueling
Pro.
Network and YGO Pro, like they have been getting terminated, I believe by Nihon. I'm not sure.
It is by Nihon.
It
Yes, it
is
is
by
by
Nihon.
Nihon.
So those are the same people that claimed your video or
Correct.
striked it,
Correct.
and like they're not just doing it to like what's the purpose in doing these things because you would have to be stupid. I don't know, like on what level would you have to be stupid enough to think that it's basically harming them?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And here's the real concern I have. They're annoying, and it's very safe to say the community is not happy with them right now. Obviously, I know how popular Dev Pro and Dueling Network were. I mean, people suggested that I look into it, and I was going to look into it at some point, and it gets terminated. And here's the thing: you're upsetting. I understand why they're doing it because they think that maybe it's taking profit away from them. Where if people aren't going to have this free server, then what they're going to do instead is buy the card game and play in real life. But here's the thing. To my knowledge, Konami hasn't really released a good platform that lets you play online. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure none really exists. That's why there's third parties like Dual Network that have created these, great platforms that let people play for free because Yu-Gi-Oh really is expensive. I've looked into like getting a pack and it's very, very expensive to just play, even casually. So the thing is, what I'm trying to get to is they're annoying the community, but at the same time, they're annoying their fans. They're annoying their core fan base. And to annoy your fan base is not a good move. And I know Konami has had a lot of issues in the past. I don't know Nihon's relationship with Konami. I don't know if Konami owns Nihon. I think they're actually two independent companies. So maybe we can't, fault Konami for this, but it very well could be a case where Konami told Nihon to go after this company because Konami didn't want to get involved and they didn't want to get a bad rep for it. But as you say, I don't know why they do this either because they're annoying their fan base. And if all their fans get annoyed at them and stop buying the card game, that's it. They're done. They especially from the Yu-Gi-Oh branch, and so that's definitely a concern I have with all that's been going on, especially with Nihon, making these claims.
Well, the fact is, like, I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh once upon a time. I believe it was like 2.5-ish years ago, and I believe like a bunch of other people wouldn't ever, and I mean ever, come back into the game if it wasn't for online play. Now, if they take out the online play aspect of the game, I believe they lose a good portion, maybe like 60% of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh fan base.
Wow.
If they actually go ahead and take out such, amazing theory videos that are basically using clips to back up their arguments, their claims, their whatever people are saying in that types of videos, those videos are going to be gone because people are going to lose the passion for them because they know they're just going to get claimed like 2.5 minutes after the video has been uploaded, which happened to me.
Right.
I did like a top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh! GX list, like the top 5 duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and basically, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not over exaggerating here. Like 2.5 minutes after it, YouTube sent me a an email, which basically stated that I got a copyright claim, not one, four, by 4K Media on the same video. Four in two and a
Four.
half minutes. It's like I don't know if it's automated or manually detected, but if it's manually detected, then I don't know. Are they just
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the four kids ones are automated because if they're manually detected, someone's got to get a life. Honestly, if they're just on YouTube every hour
right?
just looking for.
Yeah, I was like, okay, if it's going to get claimed, it's going to get claimed like maybe 2, 3 days later. I don't know. Then they got a claim like literally 2 minutes after the video has been uploaded, and I'm like, what the what the hell's going on? Like, are these people just staying
Yeah,
24/7
just
like
ridiculous.
full arm claiming mode? I don't know how to call it.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Well, and see, that's a number that you have a much better knowledge than I do. 60%. I would have never thought it was going to be that high. But here's the thing: if Konami released a program that even if they made you pay like $5 a month and they kept the servers really clean and they ran the servers really well, I think a lot of people would be willing. I know Yu-Gi-Oh Pro and Dueling Network were free as far as my knowledge is. And if Konami ran a server and even charged people just $5 mere a month to use it, and you could even buy like a $50 a year subscription that saves you $10 or something like that. And this is the business side of me because I am involved in business in college right now. And you'd be able to
to make money from that, and if you ran the servers and kept the servers run well, and there was no lag, and there was a lot of customization features, and you could choose any cards from anywhere. I mean, I know that's basically what Dueling Network was, then I wouldn't have an issue with them going after a program like this. But because they're sign that they're going to have a server that's similar to Dual Network, that's the real issue that I have. And so, as you say, if they lose 60% of their fan base, that's for any business, that is a major thumbs down. Absolutely.
Well, a judge actually told me on one Konami approved event that, keep in mind this is a Konami judge. Now, Konami and Nihon Ad Systems, I'm not sure in what way, but they are connected. Now, what this judge told me, word for word, was that Dueling Network is a great and, like, literally a great system, which we all agree on. And then the superior ones, which are, I don't know if Nihon basically is the one that charged this whole operation, or it was Konami just, I wouldn't say blackmailing, but, telling Nihon what are they supposed to do. Like, I don't see the point in all of that. Like, I don't see the point in taking theory videos down, which happened to you. I don't know what's the point in taking list videos down, which happened to me. And I don't know what's the point in taking down, like, huge dueling simulators, which were up until 2 days ago, YGO Pro and Dueling Network, which both got taken down in, like, 2 days spread, and it's just not okay for the entire fan base or anyone in particular that has any connection to Yu-Gi-Oh! So another thing I wanted to ask
Yeah, it's
you.
definitely. Go on. Yeah, sorry. No, I was I was just going to say really quickly. It's definitely not a good thing what's been going on. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you. You can go.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the ending of Arc 5, like as an anime specter?
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think for anything, whether it be a TV show like Yu-Gi-Oh, whether it be a video game or a movie, it's always like, what's that ending going to be? And I think a lot of people, including myself, are so interested in what they think the ending is going to be, and I can't wait to hear what you think the ending might entail. And the ending for anything is, especially for me, so hard to predict because there are so many variables that you don't know. So the ending, here's what I'm sticking with in Arc 5. I still believe that when Yuya, Yugo, Yuto, and Yuri are in Berserk mode, and they're chanting, it's time for the worlds to become one. I think that is the professor's plans. Where the girls fit into this, I'm not quite sure. I theorize that maybe the girls are going to be able to stop the guys. But I don't really know how that would work. Another theory that I had is maybe this would be more if Arc 5 was the last Yu-Gi-Oh show, which I guess it still has the potential to be, but based on how many episodes there's going to be, I'd be surprised at this point if there wasn't a sixth show. But I think that maybe the Yu boys, I'm just going to call them, when they're all in Berserk mode, how crazy would it be if the 4 heroes from each dimension came to stop them, and you'd have Yugi, you'd have Judai, you'd have Yusei, and you'd have Yuma, and they'd all verse the respective Yu counterpart that is in Berserk mode at that time. So Yugi would verse Yuya, Yusei would verse Yugo, etc., etc. That's an extreme stretch. I thought that would be a really cool way to end the entire show. And not just Arc 5, and the entire anime, if Yu-Gi-Oh! Was coming to a close, which at one point I thought Arc 5 was going to go 170, 180 episodes, and it was going to be the last show. But now that we know it's not the last show, or we're assuming it's not based on how many episodes are left, I'm not quite sure. I'd be stunned if we see any protagonists. So I think that it's going to end, obviously, you'd imagine, with Yuya defeating Ryo Akaba, and I could see Reiji dueling alongside Yuya, similar to what they did in Zexal, where Shark and Yuma versus Don Thousand. Yuya and Reiji versus Ryo, or Leo Akaba. Leo, it's one and the same, I guess, to me. But that's what I think. Those are just some things that I'm throwing around. See, here's the thing. I'm actually on the discussion I'm going to do with Legendary Duels, which will be one of the first videos out on my backup channel, my new channel that I'm making. I really think that Yugo and Rin are going to turn on everyone, and they are going to fight with Akemi alongside Yuri and Serena down the stretch, which could lead to a Rin and Serena versus Rory and Yuzu duel, or maybe Yuzu and Yuya versus Rin and Yugo. I think Yugo is going to fail getting through to Rin, and they are going to join Akademi. I'll get more into that huge theory in a different video, but what I was trying to say is there's just so many variables. Like in 5 episodes, your prediction on what the ending might be like completely different because Ryo Wakaba I guess isn't the main guy in charge. Well, now I have no idea what the ending's going to be. So at this point, I still think it's a key for the U boys to be in berserk mode. I'm not sure what the girls' bracelets have to do with everything. It obviously has to do with something and that machine and carding people. And I think it probably will end with maybe Yuya and maybe Reiji taking down Ryo Wakaba. Or if Reiji turns, which I don't think he will turn, maybe Yuya and Yusho versus Reiji and Leo. That could be an awesome duel. Hope it doesn't happen. I don't want Reiji to turn. I don't think it will. But that's just those are some ideas that I think. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments about what you think the ending might be and what you have to say about what you think the ending might hold.
Well, the first thing you mentioned is actually like quite interesting. You know, the whole all the characters from different show come into one place and do all the guys in Berserk, the U boys as you call them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all great. Like I can see that happening, but how do Yuya and Yugi, like as I see it, aren't they both from Standard Dimension? Like, isn't that their?
Right, right. Yeah, and see that's where it gets kind of tricky because Standard it's tough to say because the original anime Standard would hold Fusion and Sync because they're all we know for a fact that brain time. And then we don't really know Zexel and Arc 5 for getting. I'm gonna try and make a timeline video after the whole Arc 5 ends, which is a nightmare. But yeah, see that's why there's definitely a lot of holes in that theory. That was early speculation on my part, but you as you pointed out, there's a lot of flaws in that, and I don't think that would happen. I think it would be cool if it did happen, but it wouldn't make sense. I don't think that the 4 protagonists coming back, I don't think it would happen.
Well, as I see it, we see like in the whole Arc 5 concept is like we have 4 dimensions, which are Standard, Xyz, Fusion, and Synchro, but we see all of them. But we see all these characters come back from the Synchro dimension, like Jack and Crow. We got Asuka and Edo. We got is it Kaido? Yeah, Kaido and what's the
Kaido, yep.
Is there anyone else?
That's it. We haven't surprisingly. It's only been Kaido so far. Yeah.
And like we got all these characters, but we don't have Jaden, we don't have Yuma, we don't have like none of the main protagonists actually make any sort of appearance in this alternate like they could be maybe alternate versions of themselves because we know for a fact which is like the Bonds Beyond Time movie, they haven't traveled to different dimensions. It's like which basically speculates what you say. Like, the Standard Dimension upholds the Fusion Dimension, the Xyz Dimension, like it was once, all in one spectrum, all in one dimension. Uh, could it, by your honest opinion, be possible if we see an alternate version of Judai, maybe, or Jaden? I like yourself. I mix the dub and the original names.
Right, I do it all the time. Yeah.
But not the Judai we know from GX, but the Judai that comes from a fusion dimension that they look alike, but they are not the same person. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, yes, yeah, sorry, you broke up there at the end. Yeah, no, I do see where you're going with this, and it's definitely possible. Another theory is that there's so many theories, God, it's just, and I hear a lot of them because of all the comments from everyone, which is great. I love hearing these. I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing in any way. I love hearing comments from people and theories from people. It's just that there's so many of them. They're very overwhelming to break every single one down. But another one that I've heard that is decently popular is that these are the dimensions that occurred if the main protagonist didn't exist. I don't necessarily agree with. I can't really see, Academia becoming Academia. In GX, if Jaden wasn't there, I don't think Academy would have became this tyrannical place where they want everything. That's the one that really doesn't make sense to me. But if we do see a different version of these main characters, which I think we would if we did characters, I'd be down for that still. Another theory was that the main characters came back as like their evil selves. That's who good Yuya and a good Yuga would have to verse, and that doesn't really make too much to me. I think if they came back, they wouldn't come back evil. But as you say, it would be different versions of characters. So, it's a lot of speculation. To be honest, I don't think we will mention or any reference of the main protagonist from the previous shows. That's just my honest opinion. But if it happened, I would be very excited. And and people would say, well, it doesn't really make much sense. And it's like, yeah, timelines. You can just throw these characters in and make up whatever the hell you want. And I don't think anyone's going to really have too much of an issue with it. So I'd definitely be down if they did something like that.
But what I don't understand from this whole dimension hopping thing is like if there isn't like if Jaden wasn't born, for example, Jaden wasn't born in the fusion dimension. He was only in standard. We got all these different characters like Asuka and Edo, which basically are GX counterparts of like the Arc 5 characters are just counterparts of the GX characters, which are new characters by themselves, are not in any way connected to the GX characters. So if we don't have Judai anywhere, how can Leo Akaba or anyone from Academia know of like super polymerization? Because super polymerization would have never been created if Jaden didn't duel Braun and his friends weren't the one to basically be killed by Braun, and their souls basically forged the super polymerization card.
Right, well, that's a great point, and that's why I love paying close attention to every episode here, because there hasn't been any reference to super polymerization yet, as far as I know. But if there is a reference to super polymerization down the road, and they do something with that card, then all of a sudden it's like what you said, it's like, wait a second, there has to be some connection to Judai here, unless maybe he's, oh my god, actually, this kind of just hit me. What if he's going to use the 4 girls as a human sacrifice to create super polymerization, and then use super polymerization when the 4 U-boys are in Berserk, if they see the 4 girls get killed? That, and Yuya and Yuto obviously have very strong feelings for Ruri, Yuzu, and Rin, and they go into Berserk, and he's able to create super polymerization. That I just came up with that on the fly. That's a stretch, of course, but it will be interesting, because if super polymerization is in some way mentioned, then all of a sudden the theories will be flooding out, because now there's got to be some reference to Jaden, right? There has to be. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on.
Well, here's the thing. You remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX when Yubel tried to do the same thing that Leo Akaba is trying to do now?
Yes.
Well, except there were like 12 dimensions then, and now we have all those 4 dimensions. But, the concept is the same. Yubel tried to do it with super polymerization, which means that, the whole dimension fusing part is not possible without super polymerization, which means super polymerization must be created in order for Leo Akaba's plans to proceed and come into practice, basically.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But another thing to keep in mind is maybe it was necessary in that particular universe. Maybe because now we are in a different universe, maybe you won't need super polymerization. Maybe kind of a substitute for super polymerization will be these 4 U-boys in Berserk, you know what I mean? But it'll be interesting to see, because super polymerization, again, if it's mentioned in any form, it would be one of the biggest odes we've gotten to any previous show. And I actually kind of hope it is mentioned. Some people have theorized that Supreme King Jaden is going to be like the main villain, which is just as out there as, I guess, predicting Kaiba is going to be the main villain, which, by the way, at this point, I think there's 0% chance of happening. But it'll be it'll just be interesting to keep an eye on. But you make a good point. In GX, at least in that universe, it was not possible to do the fusion merging without super polymerization. Or the dimension merging. So I actually completely forgot about that. So thanks for reminding me of that, because I did forget that.
Well, yeah, it's like I came up with every single one of these theories like on the fly because as you watch a certain show, you kind of like go in the what if zone, and you're just making different speculations, theories, however you want to call it. But another thing is, like, uh, I can see how uh, all those main characters didn't like. You were the one who basically brought this on my mind with your Zero Kaiba theory video. Like, if a different version of Kaiba existed in the Arc 5 universe, or like in the standard dimension or fusion, wherever, um, Yugi would never mind crush Kaiba because Yugi isn't in that particular timeline in standard or in any other dimensions as far as we know. So yeah, I'm not seeing any dual monsters characters actually making an appearance because they're all not in any sort of dimension. Although what you mentioned in one particular video, I'm not sure in what video was it, but you did mention it. There is a possibility of a fifth dimension, which could be ritual, because we see like all these different summoning methods becoming, a new dimension basically,
Right.
which makes sense because in the ritual dimension, all any kind of different type of summoning that we've seen in dual monsters and GX, except normal summoning, would be ritual summoning. So what if all those dual monsters characters are basically stored, or they live in the ritual dimension, which isn't going to be revealed until the very end of the show?
That's a very good theory, and a lot of people would agree with you. Maybe not in terms of all the dual monsters characters being there, but a lot of people do feel that there is a fifth dimension, and that dimension would be ritual. And it's interesting because I just learned, and a lot of people, there's a lot of cards that these characters have in the manga that they don't have in the anime. I'm very aware of that. And one of the cards is Odd Eyes Gravity Dragon or Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. It's one of those two, and that is an Odd Eyes ritual card. So an Odd Eyes ritual monster exists, and I theorized that how cool would it be? I did this in one of my Q&As, so I mean, at this point, I've blabbed on over so many things that I feel like I've said almost every possibility that the show could go, every route the show could go, and I'm still gonna somehow get it wrong. But I said, what if maybe Yuya loses to Leo Akaba. He gets, quote unquote, turned into a card. He meets his fifth counterpart in the ritual dimension, in this fifth dimension, or this dimension of darkness. Some people will claim if it's not a ritual dimension, it's a dimension of darkness. He gets the Odd Eyes card from his counterpart, the ritual card, and he's able to somehow be like reborn and escape from, this card prison, which no character has ever done before. So that's where it kind of becomes like, how does he escape from it? And then the ritual card is the key to beating Leo Akaba, and he uses his ritual Odd Eyes to defeat Leo. I think that would be really cool. But if the Duel Monsters characters were in that dimension, that would be really awesome as well. And if he's able to bring Yugi and Janucci and Joey and Kaiba, and these three are people that help defeat Academia, I think that would be really awesome. That is definitely a stretch because personally, I don't think there is a fifth dimension. I'm kind of a skeptic on it. I'm one of those rare skeptics, and I think people are tired of me saying, "Oh, I don't think there is a fifth dimension." I'm not trying to be a negative person, but I personally don't believe there is one. But I'm not against there being one. And if there is one, I think that would be pretty cool if there is a fifth dimension. And if it is ritual, and if we see Duel Monsters characters there, that would be really awesome.
Because it would make sense because the first thing when Yuya was doing Yuto, you remember the duel when Yuto got absorbed into Yuya because Yugo
Yes.
interrupted them, and that's the first time we actually hear the whole dimension hopping thing that has been happening, and we kind of enter the whole plot of the main plot of the series. If I figured like they're doing a grand finale because Arc 5 is the last Yu-Gi-Oh show, but it still doesn't make sense because we got all these characters, we don't get any main characters, and we don't get any dual monsters characters. It could be that because they don't have any sort of dimension of their own, but it still doesn't make sense how we don't have Yusei, how we don't have Yuma and Jaden, because they are, they don't basically resist in standard because Yuya was using Xyz, Yusei was using synchros, and Jaden is basically using fusions. But the whole thing that you mentioned before, that they the main characters could come up risen from the dead, as you may say, as their evil counterparts. That would make most sense with Jaden or Judai, because he would be in the fusion dimension where all the messed up things are happening, and he would be with Leo Akaba because Edo is there. So it would make sense because Edo and Judai were like rivals in GX until they became friends, and they were both mentioned in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which means they are in the same universe. So that's the 99% chance that will happen. I don't see Yusuke coming as an evil character, or Yugi maybe, but Yuma and Yusei on the list. Like,
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. I would be surprised if any protagonist showed up. But to a point that you just made when you just started talking about that in that segment, a lot of people are upset that they bring back, as you say, all these characters and they kind of just treat it like it's a normal spin-off show. It was almost as if this was planned to be the final show, and that's the impression that I got, and that's the impression a lot of people got, and that's why you bring back all of these characters. You bring back a Jack Atlas, you bring back a Kaido, who those two, respectively, were probably the most important character on their particular shows in 5Ds and Zexal, besides the main character. In fact, you could probably even make the case that I think Kaido is probably more liked than Yuma in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, because Kaido is just a fantastic character. Obviously, he didn't do as much as Yuma, but he did a lot, and Jack did a lot in 5Ds as well. So you bring back all these characters, and you just kind of treat it like it's a normal show, and you don't bring back the protagonists, and now the show's ending in 30 episodes. I don't know. It just feels like something, maybe the original plans for the show was to be the final one, and maybe we'll learn in a couple years that that was the case, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But right now, it's definitely weird that the show's kind of going the route it's going. But yeah, as far as the main characters, I could see Judai more than anyone at this point. It would make a lot of sense, as you said, if Jaden shows up, just because they're in fusion. But I still don't think we will see any of the main characters back.
but what I also noticed is in the beginning, I don't know if it was the beginning, but when Synchro arc took place, like the arc in Arc 5 with the Synchro dimension, and when Yuya was dueling Jack and lost in that particular duel, you see Jack coming, being announced or introduced as the dual king of that era, which we all know that happened in 5Ds. Jack was the dual king until he was defeated by Yusei. But I didn't see Rex Goodwin or any of the Jack's management team, which means that not only the main protagonists have been taken out, but a lot of other key elements that happened in 5Ds, GX, and Zexal, but aren't transferred to Arc 5. That's the impression I have at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, you're absolutely right. These are completely different characters. They're completely different characters. Like, this is not, I think, the Jack Atlas from 5Ds. It's definitely not, because the Jack Atlas from 5Ds, not only did he have that management team, but he also had Scar Red Nova Dragon, and he had, Red Demon's Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend. His Ace Monster is different because he wasn't a signer in Arc 5 because the signer arc didn't exist. There's no sign of Aki. There's no sign of Luna and Leo. There's no sign of Yusei, obviously. That's the point we're trying to make. So this is definitely a different Jack Atlas than there was in 5Ds, which makes me think that, as you say, this is an entirely different universe. It's like an alternate reality almost. And yeah, when you try to piece it together from a timeline standpoint and compare it, Synchro Arc and Arc 5, to just Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, it's very tough to do because there's just so many differences and minor differences. But and then it doesn't also make sense because if you don't forget that Sergei was a dark signer. He had Earthbound Immortals, which that blew my mind when I wasn't doing reviews at that point, but that blew my mind when I saw that because it makes no, how is he a dark signer or he wasn't a dark signer, but he had Earthbound Immortals? There's just a lot of things that make absolutely no sense. Yeah, trying to piece together a timeline and trying to make comparisons, it's almost not even worth it because there's just so many plot holes almost in doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult to do, and it makes people like us, it makes our jobs a lot harder when we try to really analyze, different aspects of the show and make comparisons. It definitely is a lot tougher for people like us.
Yeah, just because, well, the first character that when I was starting to watch the Synchro arc, I saw Jack Atlas. When I saw Jack Atlas, I thought, okay, that's the Jack Atlas we've seen before. Maybe an alternate version because or maybe the first speculation I got from that was the whole 5Ds era was in the Synchro dimension. But when I saw that Jack's Ace Monster was different, his management team was different. He enrolled as a Jack card, which is basically used in poker, and he became like, what the hell was going on? Like I was so lost. But then I did more research, and I found an interesting theory. I believe it was on Reddit, and somebody actually said, I don't remember the guy's exact name, but he just basically said that all these different dimensions were actually created when Paradox did his dimension hopping in Bonds Beyond Time.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Because in Jaden's era, there was actually Paradox was killed, which means that he disappeared from that timeline, from Yugi's timeline where they were all dueling Paradox, and which means that he never crossed into Jaden's timeline, which basically created a duplicate timeline in which Paradox was there, but Jaden was defeated, and all these different possibilities, which basically created an entirely different dimension. Same goes with Synchro, and somehow it overlapped with Xyz. I don't know how that comes into the mix, but still makes sense
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I haven't heard that one. That does make a lot of sense. And right, when you have all these, I don't want to say it, but time paradoxes. I mean, that's what it is. Of course, that's the guy's name. There's definitely a possibility where you can have these alternate timelines, and it makes sense. A key, though, to me on why this is not the Jack Atlas from 5Ds is Crow. Remember, Jack and Crow were best friends growing up, along with you, Callan. Jack and Crow do not know each other. In fact, Crow multiple times calls Jack a fool and a traitor to the commons, and he bashes Jack, and it has clearly until the very end relation with Jack Atlas. A telltale sign.
Well, yeah, I completely get
This is a different and altogether different reality. Yeah, so I mean that's just that to me was like because when I first saw it, I thought I was with you. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. I mean, 5D's is my favorite show. They're back. This is the Jack Atlas. I'm thinking that they're actually in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna see Yusei, we're gonna see Crow, we're gonna see Akiza. I love Akiza. It's gonna be so cool. And then you slowly realize
that it's a bit of a disappointment that it's not the same group of monkeys.
But it makes some kind of a, you know, we got the impression that it was like it gets the 5D's or aura around it because we see all the D wheels or you know the dual runners that they were all using in 5D's, but the plot and the story arc, you know, the storyline was completely, like, the scenario was completely different, and that's the whole point I'm trying to make here
Right,
because
right. Well, they're definitely yeah. No, I agree with you absolutely. Even it's still feeling of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but you just have to come to terms that it's not Yu-Gi-Oh!
yeah, that's, you know, those are basically the few things I wanted to discuss with you in this video, and I had a ton of fun doing this. And if you want to do any sort of like a final message, send a final message to the fans, to anybody.
Yeah, yeah, sure. This is well. First of all, thank you for having me on. This is my second collaboration video. My first was with a user called Legendary Duels. So, you know, again, just I really appreciate having me on. The community has been, I give this same message all all the time, but hopefully there's more collabs like this in the future. Maybe even at some point, I'll have like maybe two of you on at once, and we'll do like a four-way call or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. Just more voices, more opinions, and it was a lot of fun doing this, and I'm really liking this whole podcast collaboration concept. I don't think many Yugi tubers do it really, especially about the anime. I don't think really any do it. Also, if this was like a once every couple of weeks thing, a once every month thing, I think it would be a lot of fun. And for your channel, I know your channel is just getting started. You have, maybe 15, 20 subscribers, and I think that's going to keep growing. You know a lot about the universe, and you're a very good a Yugi tuber, and I definitely think you're very underrated. So I thank you for having me on, and I hopefully your channel just it keeps growing and growing.
Well, first of all, thank you, Dylan. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I don't know how to thank you for actually accepting to come on and discuss some things with me, because I know that we share a lot of like same maybe opinions, but I just thought it would be like cool, to gather different Yugi tubers, maybe like me, you, Agami, or Gary, if you know him. All those other different people that make the community stand strong and still, um, which it's the basic stuff that you suggested. And thank you for the compliments. Really, it means a lot. I
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. And Agami, are you referring to BYG Agami?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I know he's like for Dark Side of Dimensions, like that's the go the go channel. I know he's I've talked to him a few times on Twitter. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah, I mean I don't know Gary, but I'm open to videos anyway. I mean you read out me your I'm a very easygoing person, so yeah, as in the future I'm I might have lost you.
No. You're here, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
no.
no.
You
I
are
think.
here. I thought I lost you, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Did you hear what I said at the end? I mean, you can just cut this part out, obviously. Did you? I just said again, I'm a very easygoing person. I'm down to do a collab with anyone. Thank you for having me on. That's basically what I
Yeah, I heard it.
said.
I heard it. It got into the whole transaction thing, and
Okay, good, good. Yeah.
yeah. I'm well, basically, just thank you for coming on. It means a lot to me. Somebody that's, I wouldn't say like such a big caliber, but mediocre caliber. But your channel, I have a lot of respect for you as a person, and I think that you make highly enjoyable content, and I wish you nothing but happiness on your journey. And yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, man. It really means a lot to me, and it means a lot to me just people reaching out to me. I mean, you say it means a lot that I came on and did this with you, but it means just as much to me
as someone reaching out to me and asking me to do this. So best wishes to you, and I hopefully everything goes well, and I have the same amount of respect as you do to me for you. So again, thank you. Cannot thank you enough.
Well, guys, that was it. His channel, Dylan's channel, will be in the description, and if you want to check him out, go and subscribe to him. He really makes like a lot of great and enjoyable Yu-Gi-Oh! Theories content. He also does Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 reviews, which are, again, as any other videos that he's making, are highly enjoyable. And yeah, he shares a channel with Pete, who does also like movie reviews, Marvel Shield reviews, which is also an enjoyable aspect of his channel. And yeah, Dylan, once more, thank you for coming and talking with me about a couple of things. And yeah, I really wish you nothing but happiness, man.
Thanks again, man. You're welcome for coming on, and I wish you the best as well. Looking forward to what the future holds for both of us.
Thank you really much. So that's it, guys, for this podcast. This have been Dylan and, well, me signing out.